Hi, I am sex and relationship coach Caitlin V, and today I am going to share with you my own personal Me Too story about sexual assault and consent violations. And I'm going to share with you a story about a time that I violated someone else's consent and coerced someone into having a sexual encounter with me. But first, my story. So I too, like so many people out there, men and women, have been a victim and a survivor of a sexual assault. There are a number of instances that I could recount for you, but there's one that I particularly want to share. So when I was in my early 20s, I met this guy. I was really attracted to him, and we did have consensual sex one time. And I went over to his house again, expecting to have consensual sex a second time. There were several things that happened that made me feel really uncomfortable over the course of our night together before we ever had sex. And I told him that he was making me uncomfortable and that I really wanted to go. And he essentially didn't take no for an answer. It's difficult now looking back because even I still have this sense of victim blaming, right? Like I didn't fight, I didn't like wrestle, I didn't go for the door. In fact, a big part of me had sex with him just so that I could leave, just so that I could get the night over with, you know? But that was still consensual. I was still willing to have sex with him in order to end the night and go home. But what happened is that he ended up raping me anally. So, yes, you heard that right. He forced himself on me. He forced anal sex on me. And it was awful. It was incredibly painful. I remember just tears streaming down my face, wanting to leave, wanting so badly for it to be over, wanting to go, hoping that he didn't have an STI or an STD because he didn't use a condom. And I drove. I wasn't living at my parents' house at the time. I had already moved out, but I was still living with a caretaker. And I drove to a grocery store in their neighborhood, and I just parked and cried in the car. And then I walked in and I bought a douche, thinking that I would somehow be able to douche away or wash away any of his bodily fluids that he had left inside me. And when I got home, I tried to insert this plastic douche into my anus, and I ended up cutting myself and bleeding. And then I thought, wow, I'm really in trouble now, because now not only I have not only been exposed to his body fluids, but now I've actually like opened up my body to taking them in, and I wanted to die. You know, I went into work the next day and I got yelled at for being absent. I called a couple friends, but not too many, because I felt like I put myself in this situation. You know, I went over to have sex with this guy. It turned out that I got raped, but I wasn't ready to have that conversation. I didn't process this until weeks, months, even years later. Even now, I still sometimes go back and revisit that memory and try to make sense of it, even though I know that that's an exercise in futility. The thing that I want to share with you, the reason that I really wanted to share this story with you in such a public way, is because it took me years to have anal sex again. Years. I didn't want it. I just told myself that that wasn't for me. It was too many painful memories. Anytime that I even thought about it, that's all that I could think of was this incredibly painful experience. And then all of the depression and the sadness and the wanting to just stay in bed or drown in the bathtub, or this really deep wound that I had to heal. And it wasn't until I found a partner who I really truly loved and trusted that I was able to experiment again in a safe way, in a way that made me feel comfortable, and in a way that made me feel loved and celebrated, and in a totally consensual environment. And I'm so glad that I did. I'm so glad that I found that person. I'm so glad that I had that experience, because now there's nothing that I can't do with my body. Now my entire body is mine. And that doesn't mean that I necessarily go out of my way to have anal sex or not. My point is that it's my decision, and the person who raped me does not come into my life anymore through my memories, through my brain, through thinking that there's a part of my body that's associated with him, and therefore I can't enjoy it myself. Now, I promised you one other story, and that is about a time that I coerced someone into having sex with me. I was in college and I was very much wrapped up in the idea of hookup culture. And there was this really cute guy. He was very popular on campus and he had a thing for me. And we went out one night drinking at the frats and playing beer pong. And when we got home, I kind of insisted that he have sex with me. In fact, I even coerced him looking back. At the time, I just thought this is what you did. And I didn't realize that I had any other option other than that. And I didn't read his body language. You know, when I looked at it later, I could tell that he didn't want to. He was going along with me because I was being forceful. He never said no. He never fought me or pushed me or anything like that. It was one of those gray areas of consent where he was just going along with it for me in that moment. And I am so sorry. If he ever watches this video, I'm sure he'll know who he is. At least I hope so. And I want him to know that I feel awful about that. And that's okay too. I can recognize what I did. I can make amends for it. I can feel remorse for it. It doesn't make me a bad person that this happened. It's not a mark on my character. And I think I feel safe saying this, that we've all done something at one point or another to coerce someone into something they didn't want to do. Okay? It's enough to acknowledge it and apologize and ask for forgiveness and to forgive ourselves as well. Because carrying that around like a weight, an honor, being a victim of our own guilt instead of being a survivor of something that we did wrong, or being a learner who can take a lesson out of a mistake that we've made, doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve anybody to just self-flagellate and feel bad for ourselves for the things that we've done. Make amends, make things right, get complete. So those are my stories. That's my hashtag #MeToo. I am sex and relationship coach Caitlin V. And if you need healing from an assault, or if you feel that you've perpetrated an assault and you need help understanding what's going on, please don't hesitate to go to my website, caitlinv.com/apply, and apply for a free call with me, and we can talk about it. You know, I'm a safe space. We can have these kinds of conversations, especially if you can't have them with anyone else. Come to me. I'm here for you. I am here so that you can have the best sex life ever. And addressing these things is just one part of that equation.